Hello and welcome to another radiant episode of IoT Trailblazer podcast. I'm your host Nalin, and today we are diving into world of smart solar energy, microinverters and the future of renewable energy infrastructure. Today we are joined by Mr. Jay Bhatt, Managing Director of Yuvaan Energy Limited, one of the renowned player in solar world which deals in solar modules, microinverters, solar BOS and providing solar EPC solutions across India. Hello Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you Nalin and JioThings for having me here.
Jay, India's solar ecosystem is evolving very rapidly. From your perspective, what major changes are you seeing in the renewable energy space today?
I think the major change would be the Indian market has now shifted from policy-driven business to quality-driven business. Previously, the Indian consumers were morely focusing on rates, this amount of subsidy, how much government is providing subsidy. Now the Indian market or Indian consumer is morely focusing towards quality products, the brand of inverters, the brand of panels, the quality of work, the background of EPC. They are making every checks and balances for everything. So the paradigm shift would be from policy-driven market or the subsidized market from towards the quality-driven market. That is the major shift or the change in the Indian market.
That's an absolute growth in the solar space. So Jay, congratulations on Yuvaan for being the part of this journey and also providing the commercial as well as residential solutions across India. What were some of the operational and technology challenges you faced before partnering with JioThings?
The major challenges would be, I again said this thing, that M2M SIM based technology, the IoT based monitoring, one panel, one inverter, that is the biggest change. Because previously any on-grid inverter would connect 8 panels into single inverter, and in the Jio micro inverter we would connect a single panel with single inverter. So definitely there is a big change into that scene, that we are monitoring individual panel with individual inverter, but previously we are monitoring 8 panels into single inverter. So that is the biggest change which I have seen.
So quite a few challenges, Jay. So for our audiences who are not familiar about microinverter technology, can you please give us a brief about how it differs from traditional inverters?
Let me figure this out in a quite broader picture. If we see on-grid inverters would connect all the panels into a single string and connected into MPPT, and we would monitor the performance of whole system into that single inverter. Where compared to microinverter, we are giving 4 panel single inverter. So that is the biggest change. Consumers are monitoring individual panels. So if any of the panel is having a shading effect, any of the panel is having junction box burned out, any of the panel is having a cell loss, then that individual panel generation would be down, not the full system generation would be down. So that is the biggest comparison or biggest change or biggest thing between the grid on-grid inverter and the microinverter. The another big change would be, in the microinverter segment, there is no need of DC distribution box. So consumers are well saving their money into DC distribution box. In the regular inverters, we need to mount DC distribution box with that inverters. But in the microinverter, the DC cable would be saved, DC distribution box would be saved, and individual performance would be there. So this is the major difference between these two products.
Thanks for the insight, Jay. Now I am curious to know about the adoption journey you have been with JioSpark microinverters specifically.
I would say journey would be quite back. Why? Because when we are using on-grid inverters from the global technology, we would always finding a better solutions, as we are an EPC firm, we are a trading firm, and we are always after new technology, that how we can provide great solutions, good solutions to the market. So we came into knowing about the Jio microinverter. When we learned about Jio microinverters technology, the IoT based monitoring, the M2M monitoring, we are readily go with it, as Jio itself is a bigger brand into the other into the market compared to the other brands which are available into market. Second thing, before Jio inverter, no inverter manufacturers are there into the microinverter segment. So we would be the first kind of providing this kind of technology into the market. So these are the reasons we have connected with Jio.
Great to hear that, Jay. What kind of impact you seen on customer experience and operational efficiency?
I would divide this question into two parts. Firstly, about the consumer-centric, consumer's behavior or how the consumer is accepting this Jio microinverter new technology. Consumers are well after this brand, as Jio is again a well-known brand. Second thing, consumers are getting generation data on a day-to-day basis. Second thing, consumers are having generation monitoring by online platforms. So they can be at anywhere in the world, but they can monitor the system. So that is a biggest thing consumer is demanding Jio microinverter. Second thing, on the operational side, that how Jio microinverter has made my team's installation very easy. My team hasn't installed DC distribution box into the system, so my time is saving. My DC cable installation cost is coming down, so my overall installation cost is also coming down. The weight of inverter is hardly under 5 kg. So that is another biggest advantage, that my team is carrying inverter like a bag. So that is the biggest advantage for installation team, that whenever they want to install microinverter, they just carry the microinverter into their Activa or the two-wheeler, so that can easily reach to the consumer site. So that is the advantage of having these things.
Thanks for the appreciation and showing the true picture of Jio microinverters in front of our viewers. That means a lot. So let's absorb some energy and let's start a rapid fire round. Are you excited for this?
Yes, I'm feeling like a KBC participant.
Thanks. So solar or fossil fuels?
Solar, definitely solar.
One solar myth people still believe.
There are many myths. One biggest myth would be whenever there is a cloudy situation, solar would not perform.
Most underrated technology in solar today?
IoT and microinverter.
Solar rooftop in every home, possible or distant dream?
Let me guess, solar home on every home. It is a possible and very near dream.
Smart energy or cheap energy?
Definitely I'll go with smart energy.
If not solar, which renewable source excites you most?
It would be wind.
What charges faster on solar, batteries or startup ideas?
I would definitely say startup idea, as I have gone through a startup idea through solar and I have charged to startup idea.
That was indeed blazing round of answers, Jay. Moving ahead to our discussion, we often hear phrase smart energy ecosystem. What does that actually mean in practical terms?
I would just differentiate between this question of word ecosystem. What is ecosystem? Ecosystem is the thing that whatever things we are using, we need to have all the aspects around us. Like I would put an example of EV cars. If I use EV cars, I would not spend 30 lakh rupees on EV cars. Why? Because the ecosystem hasn't been built into India. When I am spending 30 lakh rupees or 35 lakh rupees onto EV cars, I would definitely say that this car would go for 1000 km, 2000 km without giving me a pandemic or without giving me a headache. But into the Indian market, that is not a situation. The ecosystem hasn't been built for EV cars, though, so that model hasn't been succeed. Now coming to inverter segment, the Jio microinverter ecosystem is well ready, well equipped, well backed by technology for Indian market. Consumers are having IoT based monitoring, M2M monitoring, online portals are there, service team is there on ground, the suppliers are there, rates are very good. So for Jio microinverters, everything is putting into its place, and the ecosystem will play its part, and Jio microinverter will roll into the market.
So how important this term made in India becoming in the ecosystem?
Make in India would be a very good phrase, very good term into the current situation. Why current situation? Because everybody is aware about the global supply chain disturbances, where Indian solar market is heavily dependent on global supply chain. When we say dependent on global supply chain, means whenever there will be a problem into global supply chain, there will be a problem into the Indian market. If there is a problem in Indian market, our targets, our revenue, our generation loss, everything would be there. So if we become self-reliant into the segment of every products, not just Jio microinverter or solar segment, in every segment, that would be a greater thing for a nation building. So Make in India is there, and now Jio is coming up with all the technologies in India. So that would be a great advantage for Indian consumers also. Another point would be Jio microinverter is having Indian server for their data, where the other products are not having the Indian servers. So that would be a great initiative for Make in India campaign.
Undoubtedly, Make in India is the need of the hour. So what role do you see in connectivity and IoT playing in the future of solar operations?
IoT and technology is very similar and familiar word. When we say we want to use IoT or the technology advances into the microinverter or to the solar sector segment, we mean We want periodic maintenances like we used to do for our cars and other equipments. In the solar segment, knows about periodic maintenances. Why? Because no one is aware about generation, no one is aware about the quality of their system. But through this thing, we can easily monitor their generation data, the health of panels, the system strengthening, everything we can know from this data monitoring. Another would be Indian market has seen I think 7 years of solar market. So every discom has filled themselves or filled their transformers with the solar connections. So now they want to monitor each and every plant's generation data. Why? Because every solar EPC or every government projects are providing 5 years, 7 years of warranty or 5 years, 7 years guarantee for their products. But for product to run 5 years, 7 years, system needs to run 5-7 years with the greater efficiency. So through this technology, we can easily monitor, we can easily track that data, discom can track that data, individual EPC can track that data. So IoT would play a greater role in future, in current scenario, and it will go ahead.
Thanks for the insights, Jay. What excites you the most about the next 5 years in the renewable energy? And also finally, what's next for the partnership between Yuvaan and the JioThings?
I would say what excites me most is to see a developed market like we have seen into the global aspect, global world, where we are seeing consumer are more focusing towards the quality of the product, the type of installation. Consumer are well aware about the technology which we are using, like whether it is a TOPCon module, whether it is a bifacial module, whether it is a microinverter, whether it is an on-grid inverter. So this next 5 years, consumer or the end user, the next generation. Currently, we are dealing with I think every family's head. The last 1 month, I will put an example. Last 1 month, our team has visited many households for the rooftop installations. Before 5 years, we are only discussing the rooftop systems with the elders of the family. The mother, the father or the grandfather will discuss and come and discuss with us that what is the charge of this system and etc. etc. But now, young family members, the children, boy, girl, the housewives, sit and discuss with us that whether it is useful, how much height it will be go, how we can monitor this data, how we can clean this system. So this is the biggest change in 5 years which we are seeing.
The segment was about your partnership between Yuvaan and the JioThings.
The partnership between Yuvaan and Jio would be growing greater and greater. Currently, we are only operating in just 1 or 2 states, but for future aspects, we would happily develop the market for Jio into the untapped, untouched markets. And definitely, we would install or we would solarize the PM 𝗤�ᴏ projects with Jio microinverters.
Let's wrap up this round, and before you say goodbye, can you please suggest a book for our viewers?
I would suggest many books, but for my radar there would be only 2 books. First would be Bhagavad Gita, as it would I think solve every problems of your day-to-day lives and business also. Second would be the Almanac of Ravikant. That book is very deep, very inside towards business, decision making, how to make strategies. So I recommend these 2 books to the viewers. Go through these books. Bhagavad Gita, I think everybody has gone through it, but gone through this Almanac of Ravi. That would be a great book and great help for the next generation, next startup ideas.
Thank you, Jay, for joining us today and sharing your insight over solar ecosystem and smart IoT technology.
Thank you, Nalin and Jio team for having me here. It was a pleasure having here and have discussed many things on IoT, Jio, microinverter and the energy market.
And to our viewers, thanks for tuning in today for IoT Trailblazer podcast.